there is a profound and silent question that has haunted our species since we first looked up from the dry savanna grass. It is the question of whether we are alone in this vast and seemingly infinite cathedral of stars and heavy silence. For thousands of years we have shouted into the dark and heard only the echo of our own lonely voice returning. We have built great stone circles and polished glass lenses to peer into the deep and glittering fabric of the night. But the universe has remained stubbornly silent, offering us only the cold light of burning stars and the dust of galaxies. We have walked in the solitude of a single living world, believing we are the only eyes that can see the cosmos. But now, something has changed in the way we listen to the deep and quiet rhythm of the galaxy around us. We have built a golden eye that floats in the freezing shadow of our planet, 1,000,000 miles from home. It sits in the absolute stillness of the Lagrange point, unfolding its honeycomb mirrors to catch the oldest light in existence. This machine possesses a vision so sensitive it can detect the heat of a bumblebee on the surface of the moon. It stares into the black void with a patience that far exceeds the hurried and frantic pace of human lifetimes. It has turned its gaze toward a specific patch of sky where a faint red star burns with a secret. The star is known by a catalog number that sounds devoid of poetry, yet it holds a promise of immense wonder. We call it K2-18, a red dwarf sun that is much smaller and cooler than the yellow star that warms our Earth. It sits 120 light years away from us in the constellation of the Lion, glowing in the darkness. The light that hits our telescope today left that star when our great-grandfathers were walking the streets of a younger world. It has traveled across the freezing emptiness for over a century to bring us a message written in the language of rainbows. Orbiting this dim red sun is a world that has shattered our understanding of where life might choose to hide. This planet is known as K2-18b, and it is unlike any rock or gas giant we have ever seen in our own solar system. It is a world that exists in the twilight space between the solid Earth we know and the giant planets of ice. Astronomers call it a sub-Neptune, a category of planet that is the most common in the galaxy, yet absent from our Sun. But this label fails to capture the haunting and majestic reality of what likely awaits us beneath its thick and hazy clouds. We believe this is a hycean world, a name that blends hydrogen and ocean into a single evocative concept of fluid. It is a planet covered entirely in a boundless global sea that has no beginning and no end, forever deep. Imagine a world where there are no continents to break the waves, only a limitless horizon of water stretching to eternity. The atmosphere is heavy and thick, rich in hydrogen that wraps the planet in a warm and insulating blanket of pressure. It is a greenhouse world where the heat is trapped effectively, keeping the global ocean in a liquid state despite the dim star. The gravity here is stronger than on Earth, pulling at the waves with a force that would make our bodies feel heavy. Yet the water suggests a potential for life that is so high, it forces us to rewrite our definitions of habitability. We have always looked for a second Earth, a pale blue dot with green continents and white polar caps of ice. But the universe is stranger and more creative than our limited imaginations have allowed us to believe during our long search. Perhaps life does not prefer the rocky shores of an Earth-like world, but thrives in the endless dark of a global ocean. We turned the James Webb Space Telescope toward this world, not to see its surface, which is hidden by the haze. We turned it there to taste the air, to analyze the starlight filtering through the rim of the planet's atmosphere. When a planet passes in front of its star, the light travels through the thin shell of gases surrounding the world. The molecules in the air absorb specific colors of that light, leaving dark fingerprints in the spectrum that we can read. It is a technique of exquisite precision, like analyzing a single puff of smoke from a fire burning 10 miles away. The data came back from the telescope as a simple graph, a jagged line of peaks and valleys on a screen. To the untrained eye, it looks like static, but to the astronomer, it is a painting of a distant and alien sky. The graph showed us the unmistakable signature of carbon dioxide and methane in quantities that suggest a heavy and chemically active atmosphere. These are carbon-bearing molecules, the fundamental building blocks that life as we know it creates and consumes in its cycle. But hidden in the noise of that data was a smaller, more fragile signal that stopped the hearts of those who saw it. It was a faint dip in the light that corresponds to a molecule known as dimethyl sulfide, or DMS for short. On our planet, this molecule is not produced by volcanoes or lightning or any geological process we have ever discovered. It is produced only by life, specifically by the microscopic phytoplankton that drift in the upper layers of our own oceans. It is the smell of the sea, the pungent and sulfurous aroma that meets you when you stand on the shoreline. To find such a molecule in the atmosphere of a distant world is a hint so profound it borders on the terrified. It suggests that beneath those clouds, in that endless alien ocean, something is breathing and metabolizing in the dark water. The statistical confidence is not yet absolute, for the signal is faint and whispers on the very edge of our visibility. But the presence of methane and carbon dioxide, combined with the lack of ammonia, paints a picture of a liquid water ocean. It is a world that fits the perfect description of a place where biology could emerge and flourish over billions of years. We must pause to consider the sheer weight of what it means to look at a graph and see the ghost of life. For decades, we have assumed that if we found life, it would be on a rocky world like Mars or Venus. We thought we would find fossilized bacteria or perhaps the ruins of a civilization that died out long before we arrived. But K218b presents us with a living world, a planet that is active and dynamic and possibly teeming with organisms. The term hycean was coined only recently, a theoretical class of planet that we hoped might exist somewhere in the galaxy. Now we are staring at a candidate that seems to fulfill every requirement of this strange and watery hypothesis we created. The star it orbits, the red dwarf K2-18, is a calm star, unlike many of its violent and flaring siblings. This stability is crucial, for it allows the atmosphere of the planet to remain stable over vast stretches of geological time. On Earth, life took billions of years to evolve from simple cells to the complex creatures that swim in our seas. If K2-18b has enjoyed a similar stability, the life within its oceans could be ancient and incredibly sophisticated. We are not just looking at a chemical anomaly. We are looking at a potential ecosystem separated from us by the void. The distance of 120 light-years is both unimaginably far and intimately close in the scale of the cosmos. It is close enough that we can study it, yet far enough that we can never touch it or go there. We can only watch, like ghosts peering through a window, observing the shadow of a world that does not know we exist. The James Webb Space Telescope uses an instrument called MIRI, the mid-infrared instrument, to see the heat of this distant place. It looks at the planet in wavelengths of light that our human eyes cannot see, revealing the thermal glow of the air. This instrument must be cooled to a temperature near absolute zero to function, colder than the deepest void of space itself. It is a mechanical eye that is dead and frozen, yet it searches for the warmth and chemical chaos of the living. The irony of this is poetic, that we must build a machine of absolute cold to find the fire of life. As the telescope stares at K2-18b, it collects photons, individual particles of light that have traveled across the interstellar gulf. Each photon carries a tiny piece of information, a story about the gas molecule it hit before escaping into space. We collect these stories one by one, building a library of evidence that points toward a conclusion we are afraid to speak. The scientific community is cautious, arguing about the overlap of spectral lines and the potential for false positives in the data. They propose abiotic alternatives, complex chemical pathways that might create these molecules without the presence of a living cell. This skepticism is healthy and necessary, for the claim of discovering alien life is the most extraordinary claim we can make. But the alternative explanations are becoming increasingly complex and unlikely as we gather more precise data from the golden mirror. The simplest explanation, the one that fits the data with the most elegance, is that the ocean of K2-18b is alive. It suggests that the ocean is crowded with hunger and reproduction, with the cycle of energy that defines existence. We must let our minds drift away from the hard data for a moment and float towards the planet itself. Visualize the approach to this world, moving through the silence of the system, past the flare of the red sun. The planet hangs in the dark like a clouded marble, not blue like Earth, but perhaps a pale and creamy white. The clouds are not made of water vapor alone, but are likely thick with photochemical hazes created by the starlight. They form a crushing blanket that hides the ocean below, a veil that protects the water from the vacuum of space. As we descend toward the cloud tops, the light of the red sun diffuses into a soft and crimson glow. There is no hard surface to land on, no mountains to climb, only the endless swirling of the thick atmosphere. The pressure builds rapidly as you go deeper, the weight of the hydrogen air pressing down with immense force. Somewhere beneath that crushing gloom, the atmosphere transitions seamlessly into a liquid, a supercritical fluid that merges air and sea. And below that, the true ocean begins, a body of water that might be hundreds of miles deep. On Earth, our deepest trench is but a scratch compared to the abyss that likely exists on a hycean world. In those depths, protected from the radiation of the star and the cold of space, the water is warm and liquid. It is a womb on a planetary scale, a perfect solvent for the chemistry that leads to biology. If the detection of DMS is correct, then this ocean is not a sterile wasteland of salt and water. It is a soup of biological activity, producing waste gases that bubble up through the thousands of miles of ocean. These bubbles rise through the dark water, carrying the scent of life up into the atmosphere where we can see it. It is a message sent in a bottle, but the bottle is the gravity of the planet, and the message is gas. We are sniffing the air of a world we will never walk upon, smelling the breath of an alien sea. The implications of this discovery are so vast that they threaten to destabilize our sense of importance in the universe. If life can exist here, on a world so different from Earth, then life must be common everywhere. It means the galaxy is not a lonely place, but a crowded garden, teeming with wet and breathing worlds. It means that every star we see in the night sky might host a retinue of living planets. We are no longer the special children of the cosmos, but merely one variation of a theme that plays endlessly. This realization brings a sense of comfort, a feeling that we are part of a grand and interconnected web of matter. We are not an accident of chemistry that happened once and will never happen again in the history of time. We are a natural consequence of the laws of physics, as inevitable as the formation of stars or the orbit of moons. The universe wants to be alive. It strives toward complexity and consciousness with a relentless and patient pressure. K2-18b is the first clear sign that this pressure exists elsewhere, that the drive to live is universal. Let us return to the image of the telescope, hanging in the dark, its sun shield blocking the brilliance of our own sun. It is a lonely sentinel, a robot that does not know it has found the most important thing in history. It simply records the light, turning the majestic reality of a living planet into a stream of binary numbers. But we, the conscious observers, can take those numbers and rebuild the world in our minds. We can close our eyes and see the red light filtering through the clouds, touching the surface of the waves. We can imagine the sound of the wind on a world with no trees to break its endless circulation. The winds on a hycean world would be driven by the heat of the star, circulating the energy around the globe. They would whip the ocean into frenzies of waves that dwarf anything seen on our own small and rocky planet. Giant swells, miles high, traveling around the circumference of the world without ever breaking on a shore. And in the troughs of those waves, in the calm water between the storms, the microscopic life drifts. It waits for the dim light of the red sun to penetrate the clouds and provide the energy for photosynthesis. Or perhaps it does not need light at all, feeding instead on the chemical energy welling up from the core. The planet likely has a hot interior, a rocky core buried deep beneath the crushing weight of the water and ice. This core would drive volcanism, underwater vents that spew nutrients into the bottom of the global sea. These vents would be oases of heat in the cold dark, places where life could cluster and grow. We have seen similar environments on our own world, near the black smokers at the bottom of the Atlantic and Pacific. There, in the absolute dark, strange creatures thrive in water that would boil a human alive in seconds. They do not need the sun. They need only the heat of the planet and the chemicals from the crust. If Earth can host life in such extreme conditions, then K2-18b offers a paradise of unlimited volume. The entire planet is a habitable zone, a three-dimensional space of water that dwarfs the biosphere of Earth. The volume of livable space on K2-18b could be 1,000 times greater than the habitable space on our planet. It is a world where life has more room to experiment, to grow, to evolve into forms we cannot conceive. We are limited by our experience, trapped by the specific history of the evolutionary path that led to us. We assume eyes are necessary, or legs, or lungs. But on a fluid world, these things might be useless. Life there might be vast sheets of tissue that float in the currents, absorbing nutrients directly from the water. Or it might be swarms of microscopic entities that act as a single consciousness, a hive mind in the sea. The possibilities are limited only by the laws of chemistry and the imagination of the universe itself. And the universe has shown us, time and again, that its imagination is far richer and more terrifying than our own. We look at K218 BC and we see a mirror, but the reflection is distorted and strange, familiar yet alien. It is a hycean mirror, reflecting not our face, but the potential for a different kind of existence. The detection of the methane and carbon dioxide atmosphere was the first key to unlocking this mystery. These gases act as the markers of the pressure and the temperature, telling us the air is not too hot. If the planet were too hot, the ocean would boil away into steam, leaving a supercritical envelope of gas. If it were too cold, the ocean would freeze into a global shell of ice, locking the life away. But K218b sits in the Goldilocks zone, the delicate band of distance where the energy is just right. It balances on the knife edge of habitability, maintaining its liquid ocean against the vacuum for billions of years. This stability is a miracle of physics, a delicate equilibrium that allows the slow work of evolution to proceed. And now, the James Webb Telescope has handed us the key to the second door, the door of biology. The MIRI instrument continues to stare, gathering more photons, refining the signal, reducing the noise in the data. With every hour of observation, the ghost of the DMS molecule becomes a little more solid, a little more real. We are standing on the precipice of a confirmation that will change the course of human history and thought forever. If future observations confirm the presence of dimethyl sulfide, the debate will shift from if to what. We will no longer ask if we are alone. We will ask what kind of neighbors we have in the dark. We will begin to dream of ways to send a message, to bridge the gap of light years. But for now, we are the silent watchers, the voyeurs peering across the galaxy at a world that is asleep. The ocean of K2-18b rolls on, indifferent to our excitement, unaware that it is being watched by a golden eye. The waves rise and fall in the red twilight, stirring the nutrients, mixing the chemicals of life. It is a lonely world, perhaps, with no land to stand on, no fire to build, no stars to see. The thick clouds would block the view of the universe, creating a permanent, hazy sky of grey and red. If there are intelligent beings there, they might not know that the universe exists beyond their clouds. They might believe the universe is only water and fog, infinite and eternal, with no beginning and no end. They would have no concept of stars or galaxies or the vacuum of space that surrounds their bubble. They would be the true introverts of the cosmos, locked in a fluid embrace, safe from the cold. And yet, we have found them, or at least, we have found the signature of their breathing. We have detected the exhalation of their biosphere, the chemical waste that proves they are alive and working. This is the beauty of the hycean concept, that it opens up the universe to a diversity of life. It frees us from the tyranny of looking only for Earth twins, for rocky balls with thin atmospheres. It tells us that life is adaptable, that it will seize any opportunity to exist, even in a high-gravity ocean. The universe is not a sterile void punctuated by rare miracles. It is a fertile field waiting to be harvested, and we are just learning how to see the crops, how to distinguish the wheat from the chaff in the light. As we drift deeper into this idea, Let the sensation of the deep ocean wash over your mind. Feel the heavy pressure of the hydrogen air, the warmth of the eternal sea, the dim red light. It is a place of slow rhythms, of currents that take centuries to circle the globe, of deep silence. There is no noise of industry, no roar of engines, only the whisper of the wind and the water. It is a planet at peace with itself, a closed loop of chemistry and energy that needs nothing from outside. It floats in the void like a precious jewel, wrapped in its layers of cloud and gas and mystery. And we are the distant admirers, the astronomers who have fallen in love with a smudge of light. We construct narratives and dreams around this data point, filling in the blanks with our hope and fear. We want it to be true so badly that we must be careful not to deceive ourselves with our own desire. That is why the skepticism remains, why the scientists argue about abiotic alternatives and overlapping signals. But the seed has been planted in our collective consciousness, the idea that the ocean world is real. And once that idea takes root, it changes the way we look at the night sky forever. We no longer see points of light. We see destinations. We see homes. We see potential friends and threats. The silence of the universe is no longer empty. It is pregnant with waiting, heavy with the unsaid. We are listening to a room that we thought was empty and hearing the faint sound of breathing in the corner. The breath is slow and rhythmic, matching the tidal pull of the red star on the heavy ocean. It is the breath of a biosphere that has survived for eons, long before humans walked out of the caves. It is an elder sibling in the family of life, watching us with a wisdom we cannot comprehend. And as we continue to stare at K218b, we begin to wonder what else is hiding in the glare. What other secrets are wrapped in the light of the stars, waiting for the golden mirror to unfold? The universe is peeling back its layers, one by one, revealing a complexity that is both beautiful and terrifying. We are peeling back the skin of the cosmos to see the muscle and blood beneath. And the blood is warm, and the muscle is twitching with the energy of 1 trillion suns. We are small, but our vision is large. We are fragile, but our curiosity is enduring. We have built a machine to extend our senses, to touch the untouchable, to see the invisible. And what we see is a world of water, a hycean jewel, a promise of companionship in the dark. The journey to understand this world has only just begun, and the path is long and winding. We must be patient, like the telescope, collecting the light drop by drop, photon by photon. We must let the data accumulate until the picture is clear, until the ghost becomes a portrait. But even now, in the early stages of discovery, the feeling of awe is overwhelming and pure. It is the feeling of standing on the edge of a great cliff and looking out over a misty sea. You cannot see the other side, but you can smell the salt and hear the crashing of the waves. You know there is something out there, something vast and alive, hidden in the fog. K2-18b is that misty sea, and we are standing on the cliff of Earth, leaning forward. We are straining our eyes, trying to pierce the veil, trying to glimpse the movement in the water. And as we lean closer, as we focus our attention on that distant point of red light, we feel a pull. It is a gravitational pull of the imagination, drawing us away from our beds and into the void. We are drifting towards the constellation of Leo, floating on the stream of ancient light. We are leaving the safety of our solar system and venturing into the deep infrared dark. The sun fades to a bright star behind us, and the alien sun grows brighter ahead. We are approaching the hycean world, ready to dive beneath the clouds and see the truth. But before we break the surface, before we enter the high-pressure sanctuary of the deep, we must pause. We must acknowledge the silence that surrounds us, the vacuum that separates the worlds. It is in this silence that the true mystery resides, the space between the knowing and the unknown. And it is here, hovering just above the cloud deck of K2-18b, that we begin to understand the depth not just of the water, but of the time that separates us from the origin of this life. We float now in the vast and silent spaces between the worlds, drifting closer to the source of the faint and mysterious signal. The darkness here is not empty, but heavy with the unseen presence of particles that have traveled across the galaxy for endless years. We are suspended in the cold vacuum, waiting to catch the fragile whisper of chemistry that has escaped from a distant ocean. It is a place of absolute stillness, where the only movement is the silent passage of light streaming from the constellation of the Lion. We have turned our golden ear toward the deep, listening for a song that was sung before any of us were born. The signal we have detected is not a radio broadcast or a sequence of mathematical prime numbers sent by a conscious mind. It is something far more primal and unintentional, a byproduct of the chaotic and relentless machinery of life doing its work. It is the molecular exhaust of a biosphere that is busy surviving in the dark waters of a world we cannot touch. We call this signal a biosignature, a term that sounds clinical but actually represents the holy grail of our cosmic loneliness. It is the fingerprint of biology smeared across the light of a star, waiting for us to develop the eyes to see it. The specific molecule that has captured our dreams is known as dimethyl sulfide, a name that hides its profound and evocative nature. On our own blue planet, this molecule is the pungent scent of the sea, the aroma of rotting seaweed and salt air. It is the smell that greets you when the wind blows off the ocean, carrying the metabolic waste of 1 trillion tiny lives. It is produced by phytoplankton, the microscopic plants that drift in the sunlit layers of our water and feed the world. To find this specific arrangement of sulfur and carbon in the sky of another world is to find a ghost of home. The James Webb Space Telescope, floating in its cold outpost, did not see a picture of these creatures swimming in the alien sea. It saw the shadow of the molecule, a tiny dip in the spectrum of light that passed through the planet's atmosphere. The instrument known as MIRI, or the mid-infrared instrument, is the sensitive nose that sniffed this faint aroma across the light years. It operates in the deep infrared, a part of the spectrum where the universe glows with the heat of its own creation. To see these wavelengths, the telescope must be colder than the void itself, shielded from the heat of the sun and earth. It is a paradox of exploration that we must freeze our instruments to detect the warmth and chemical vibrancy of a living world. The light from K2-18b entered the telescope and was split into its component colors, spreading out like a fan of rainbows. And there, in the specific wavelength that belongs to dimethyl sulfide, the light was missing, absorbed by the molecules in the air. It was as if the planet had taken a deep breath and held it, keeping that specific color for itself and its ocean. This missing light is the message, the silence in the choir that tells us someone is standing there, breathing and living. But the detection of a single molecule is never enough to claim victory. in the cautious and skeptical court of modern science. The signal for dimethyl sulfide is accompanied by hints of another sulfur-bearing molecule known as dimethyl disulfide, adding to the mystery. This complexity suggests a rich and active chemistry, a cycle of elements that is being driven by something more than simple geology. On Earth, these compounds are inextricably linked to the biological processes of life, specifically the life that thrives in the water. We struggle to find a natural process that could create such a specific cocktail of gases without the helping hand of biology. The atmosphere of K2-18b is not just a thin veil, but a heavy and substantial envelope that presses down on the ocean. Previous observations by the Hubble Space Telescope had already hinted at the presence of water vapor in this thick and hazy air. But it was the precision of the James Webb Telescope that allowed us to see the finer details of the composition. We found methane and carbon dioxide in abundance, confirming that this is a world rich in carbon, the element of life. These gases act as the background canvas upon which the faint signature of the dimethyl sulfide has been painted by the ocean. The absence of ammonia in the atmosphere is another crucial clue that points toward the existence of a liquid water ocean below. Ammonia is highly soluble in water, and its absence suggests that the ocean has scrubbed it from the sky, absorbing it deep. This process creates a distinct chemical profile, a depletion that tells us the atmosphere is in contact with a vast body of liquid. It is a conversation between the air and the sea, a constant exchange of molecules that shapes the environment of the entire world. And we are eavesdropping on this conversation, trying to understand the language of a planet that is utterly different from our own. The distance of 120 light years means that the light we are seeing left the planet over a century ago. It traveled through the emptiness while our world went through wars and revolutions, carrying its secret message in silence and patience. It passed through the cold clouds of interstellar dust and navigated the gravity wells of other stars to reach our golden mirror. The molecule of dimethyl sulfide that absorbed that photon died 100 years ago, broken apart by the chemistry of the atmosphere. But the ghost of that interaction has survived the journey, preserving the moment of its existence for us to discover today. We are looking at a snapshot of the past, a postcard from a world that has continued to evolve and change since then. The ocean that produced that gas might be different now. The life forms might have shifted or bloomed in new and strange ways. But in the slow time of geology and evolution, a century is less than the blink of a single human eye. The planet is likely still there, still hycean, still breathing its sulfurous breath into the heavy sky for us to find. The stability of the red dwarf star suggests that this environment could have existed for billions of years, far longer than Earth. This immense age implies that the life on K2-18b could be ancient, a biological dynasty that has ruled the ocean for eons. It has had time to perfect its chemistry, to adapt to the crushing pressure and the dim light of the red sun. The creatures that produce the dimethyl sulfide might be simple algae, or they might be part of a complex and interconnected web. They might be the foundation of a food chain that supports leviathans in the deep, unseen monsters that swim in the eternal dark. We can only dream of what swims beneath the clouds, guided by the faint chemical traces that escape into the upper air. The detection of these biosignatures is difficult because the signal is weak and the noise of the star and instrument is high. It is like trying to hear a whisper across a crowded room while a storm is raging outside the windows. The astronomers must stack the data, adding observation upon observation to make the signal rise above the random static of the universe. It is a labor of patience and faith, a belief that the signal is real and not just a trick of the light. Every new photon collected by the telescope adds a grain of sand to the scale, tipping the balance toward discovery. The presence of methane and carbon dioxide also tells us that the planet is in a state of chemical disequilibrium, a good sign. Life loves disequilibrium. It thrives on the flow of energy and matter that happens when things are not in perfect balance. A dead world settles into a static state where the chemistry is locked and nothing new is created or destroyed for eternity. But a living world is a chaotic engine, constantly burning fuel and producing waste, keeping the atmosphere in a state of flux. K218b appears to be such an engine, a dynamic world where the gears of chemistry are turning in the deep. We must also consider the skepticism that is a healthy and necessary part of the scientific process in our search for life. There are those who argue that abiotic processes hidden deep in the mantle or the atmosphere could mimic these biological signals. They suggest that perhaps unknown photochemical reactions driven by the red sun could create dimethyl sulfide without a single living cell. This caution prevents us from leaping to conclusions, forcing us to rule out every other possibility before we dare to say life. But as we strip away the alternatives, the biological explanation remains standing, resilient, and increasingly probable in the face of the data. The sheer quantity of the molecules required to create the signal we see argues against a simple geological source like volcanoes. Volcanoes produce sulfur, it is true, but they typically produce it in forms like sulfur dioxide, rather than the complex organic chains. To make dimethyl sulfide requires a specific assembly of carbon and hydrogen and sulfur that is the specialty of living metabolism. It is a molecule that is expensive to make in terms of energy, something that nature rarely does without a reason. And the reason, on Earth at least, is the complex machinery of the cell, working to maintain its internal balance. The detection of this molecule in the atmosphere of a hycean world fits perfectly with the predictions made by theoretical models of habitability. We hypothesized that such worlds could exist, that they would be rich in hydrogen and covered in ocean, and that they would host life. And now, the universe seems to have delivered a specimen that matches the theory with an uncanny and beautiful precision. It is as if the cosmos is answering our questions, rewarding our curiosity with a puzzle piece that fits the whole. But the picture it reveals is not of a second Earth, but of something new, a new category of existence. We drift closer to the planet in our minds, imagining the view from just outside the thick and swirling atmosphere. The planet does not look like the blue marble of Earth, but likely a pale and hazy sphere shrouded in mystery. The light of the star reflects off the cloud tops, creating a diffuse glow that hides the secrets of the surface. We cannot see the ocean directly. We can only infer its presence from the chemistry of the air we are tasting. It is a world wrapped in secrecy, protecting its children from the cold gaze of the universe with a blanket of gas. The pressure at the surface of this ocean would be immense, hundreds of times greater than the pressure at sea level on Earth. But life is incredibly adaptable, capable of flourishing in the deepest trenches of our own oceans under crushing weight. The creatures of K2-18b would not feel this pressure any more than we feel the weight of the air on our shoulders. They would be evolved for it, their bodies filled with fluid that matches the pressure of the water around them. They would move through the dark liquid with grace and ease, the masters of their high-gravity, high-pressure domain. The MIRI instrument has opened a window into this domain, but the view is still blurry and open to interpretation. We need more time, more orbits, more photons to sharpen the image and confirm the reality of what we are seeing. But the initial glimpse is enough to send a shiver of excitement through the collective spine of the human species. We are standing on the threshold of a new era, where we are no longer alone in the dark. The silence of the cosmos is being broken, not by a shout, but by the quiet breathing of a neighbor. The implications of the carbon dioxide and methane are also profound, suggesting a greenhouse effect that keeps the planet warm. Without these gases, the ocean might freeze, locking the potential for life in a tomb of ice for eternity. But the atmosphere acts as a blanket, trapping the heat of the red dwarf star and maintaining the liquid water. It is a delicate balance, a fortuitous arrangement of physics and chemistry that allows the liquid state to persist. And where there is liquid water and carbon and energy, there is the potential for the miracle of life. We must let ourselves feel the weight of the discovery, the shift in perspective that comes with finding a living world. For so long, we have looked at the stars as distant nuclear furnaces, beautiful but sterile and indifferent to us. Now, we must look at them as the hearths of other homes, the suns that warm the backs of other creatures. The universe is transforming before our eyes, changing from a graveyard of matter into a nursery of life. And K2-18b is the first cradle we have found, the first clear evidence that the nursery is occupied. The dimethyl sulfide molecule is fragile, easily destroyed by the ultraviolet radiation from the star if it stays in the air. Its presence implies that it is being constantly replenished, pumped into the atmosphere by a source that never sleeps. This constant production is the hallmark of a biosphere, a global system that is always active, always cycling matter. It is the heartbeat of the planet, a rhythm of creation and destruction that sustains the chemical balance of the sky. And we have detected this heartbeat, faint and irregular, across the immense gulf of space and time. As we contemplate the chemistry of this distant world, we are reminded of the intimate connection between life and its environment. Life does not just exist on a planet. It shapes the planet, changing the air and the water and the rock. The atmosphere of Earth is a biological construction, and it seems the atmosphere of K2-18b is the same. We are seeing the impact of biology on a planetary scale, the power of microscopic life to alter a world. It is a testament to the tenacity of life, its ability to take hold and transform a ball of rock and gas. The James Webb Telescope continues to stare, its golden mirrors fixed on the spot in the constellation of Leo. It gathers the infrared light, the heat signature of the molecules, building a stronger case with every hour. The scientists on Earth wait for the data, analyzing every blip and dip in the spectrum with obsessive care. They are the high priests of this new religion of discovery, interpreting the messages sent by the universe. But the message is simple, written in the universal language, of chemistry. I am here and I am alive. The confirmation of the dimethyl disulfide signal would be the final piece of the puzzle, the corroborating witness. DMDS is less common than DMS, but its presence would strengthen the biological interpretation of the data significantly. It would suggest a complex sulfur cycle, similar to what we see in the most productive ecosystems on our Earth. It would imply a diversity of life, a range of organisms contributing to the chemical soup of the ocean. We are not just looking for a single bug. We are looking for an ecosystem, a web of life. The methane in the atmosphere also raises questions about the geological activity of the planet, the churn of the crust. Methane can be produced by volcanoes, but usually in conjunction with other gases that we do not see here. The specific ratio of methane to carbon dioxide to ammonia is the key that unlocks the door to the hycean model. It is a fingerprint that matches the suspect perfectly, leaving little room for doubt in the minds of the hopeful. But science demands rigor, and so we wait, and we observe, and we let the data speak for itself. The feeling of drifting towards this world is becoming more intense, the gravitational pull of the mystery stronger. We want to go there, to descend through the clouds and see the source of the smell for ourselves. We want to splash down in the global ocean and taste the water, to feel the alien rain on our faces. But we are bound to our own solar system, limited by the speed of light and the fragility of our bodies. We can only travel there in our minds, guided by the numbers and graphs on the computer screens. And so we construct the world in our imagination, building it from the blocks of data provided by the telescope. We see the dark ocean, the heavy clouds, the red sun hanging low in the twilight sky. We smell the sulfur in the air, the tang of the alien sea, the scent of a life we do not know. It is a sensory experience born of science, a hallucination grounded in the hard reality of spectroscopy. We are dreaming with our eyes open, guided by the most expensive and complex machine ever built. The journey of the light from K2-18b is a lonely one, a solitary trek through the freezing dark. It passes no other witnesses, touches no other worlds, until it hits the honeycomb mirrors of Webb. It is a direct line of communication, a private whisper from one planetary system to another across the void. We are the recipients of a secret that has been kept for billions of years, waiting for us to evolve. The universe has been shouting this truth, but we were deaf until we learned to build the golden ear. Now that we can hear, the silence is filled with voices, with the chemical chatter of a living galaxy. The signals are faint, buried in the noise, but they are there for those with the patience to listen. K2-18b is just the first voice we have distinguished, the first distinct word in the cosmic conversation. There will be others, other worlds with other molecules, other flavors of life waiting to be tasted. But the first one is always the most special, the one that breaks the solitude and changes the paradigm. We must honor the molecule, the humble arrangement of atoms that carries such a heavy burden of proof. Dimethyl sulfide, a simple structure of carbon, hydrogen, and sulfur, has become the most important molecule in history. It is the ambassador of alien life, the envoy sent across the stars to tell us we are not alone. It deserves our respect and our awe, this tiny particle that has survived the journey to reach us. It is the key to the lock that has kept us in the dark for so long. As we linger in the upper atmosphere of this distant world, we feel the potential of what lies below. The clouds are thick and opaque, hiding the surface from our view, keeping the ocean a secret. But the scent of the water permeates the air, rising up to meet us in the vacuum of space. It is a scent that promises discovery, that hints at a richness of life that rivals our own. We are hovering on the edge of the unknown, poised to dive into the depths of a new reality. The darkness of space surrounds us, but the planet glows with the thermal light of its own internal heat. It is a warm world in a cold universe, a sanctuary for the delicate chemistry of existence. We are drawn to this warmth like moths to a flame, seeking the comfort of life in the emptiness. And as we prepare to descend, to penetrate the veil of clouds, we hold our breath. We wait for the clouds to part, for the ocean to reveal itself, for the truth to be seen. The anticipation is a physical weight, a pressure in the chest that mirrors the pressure of the alien air. We are on the verge of the greatest discovery in the history of human knowledge, and the moment is stretched. We are suspended in time, caught between the detection of the signal and the confirmation of the source. It is a moment of pure possibility, where anything could be true and the universe is wide open. And in this moment, we drift, silent and watchful, carried by the currents of our own curiosity. The telescope continues its silent vigil, a golden sentinel in the night, gathering the faint light. It does not sleep. It does not dream. It only observes and records the reality of the cosmos. But we, the dreamers, take that reality and weave it into a story of connection and hope. We look at the graph and see a world. We look at the dip in the line and see a living ocean. We are the meaning makers, the ones who give significance to the cold data of the stars. The molecule waits in the dark, floating in the heavy air, a testament to the life that created it. It is a beacon, a lighthouse on the shore of the cosmic ocean, guiding us toward the truth. We have seen the light, we have smelled the air, and now we must follow the trail to the source. The descent begins not with a movement of the body, but with a shift of the mind. We let go of the vacuum and allow gravity to pull us down toward the clouds. The red sun is a diffuse glow above us, a crimson eye that watches our approach with indifference. The clouds rush up to meet us, a wall of haze that promises to swallow us whole. We are entering the realm of the hycean, the domain of the global sea, the home of the unknown. The transition from the vacuum to the atmosphere is a passage into a new world, a new dimension. And as the mist closes around us, we feel the first touch of the alien wind. We descend now through the upper layers of the alien mist, wrapped in a silence that is older than the oldest stone on our Earth. The vapor here is thick and heavy, swirling in slow and majestic currents that are driven by the heat of the red sun above. We have brought our hopes to this distant place, carrying the fragile dream of companionship across the vast and freezing gulf of the interstellar night. But we must also carry the heavy burden of doubt, for the universe does not give up its secrets easily to the hopeful mind. The signal we detected, that faint whisper of sulfur in the light, might yet be a trick played by the lifeless laws of chemistry. We must confront the possibility that the ocean below us is sterile, a lonely expanse of water where nothing has ever swum or breathed. It is a terrifying thought that chills us more than the vacuum. The idea that a world can have water and warmth, but no soul. There are voices in the scientific choir that sing a song of caution, warning us against the seduction of our own desperate desire for contact. They remind us that the cosmos is a master of mimicry, capable of creating the appearance of life through the blind interactions of dead matter. The molecule of dimethyl sulfide, so rare and specific to life on our own planet, might have another source in the strange laboratory of this world. We know that ultraviolet light from the red star strikes the upper atmosphere with a relentless energy that can shatter molecules into their atomic parts. These fragments drift in the high winds, colliding and recombining in a chaotic dance that can produce unexpected and complex arrangements of atoms. It is possible, however unlikely, that this photochemical smog could synthesize the very molecule we associate with the plankton of our home seas. The skeptics argue that we do not yet understand the full complexity of the chemistry that occurs on a planet so different from our own. They suggest that the heavy hydrogen atmosphere might host reactions that are impossible on Earth, creating false positives that fool our distant eyes. Perhaps there is a layer of unknown haze that traps the sulfur rising from volcanoes, cooking it into organic shapes that look like biology. It would be a cruel cosmic joke, a mirage of water in the desert that vanishes just as we reach out to touch it. We must listen to these skeptical voices, for they are the guardians of truth, standing at the gate to ensure we do not deceive ourselves. They force us to look at the data again, to stare harder at the jagged lines on the graph until our eyes burn with fatigue. We search for alternative explanations, for a geological pathway that could explain the presence of the gas without invoking the miracle of evolution. We model the interior of the planet, imagining the heat of the core driving fluids up through the mantle and into the sea. Could a specific type of underwater volcano, erupting under the crushing pressure of the Hycean deep, release the precursor chemicals for this signal? The models suggest it is difficult, for the chemistry of sulfur is stubborn and tends to form simpler compounds like sulfur dioxide in the heat. To build the complex bridge of carbon and sulfur requires energy and organization that is rarely found in the random violence of a volcano. Yet we cannot rule it out completely, for our knowledge of planetary interiors is limited to the single rock we live upon. The debate rages quietly in the halls of universities and the servers of observatories, a war fought with mathematics and probability rather than weapons. It is a noble conflict, a struggle to define the boundary between the living and the non-living in a universe that contains both. We are trying to draw a line in the shifting sand of the cosmos, to say, here, chemistry ends and biology begins. But the universe ignores our lines, blurring the edges with a continuum of complexity that defies our simple binary categories of alive or dead. Perhaps the ocean of K2-18b is in a state of almost life, a prebiotic soup where the molecules are striving to become cells. It might be a world caught in the long moment of creation, stuck in the millions of years between simple chemistry and true replication. If we are seeing this transition, it would be a discovery just as profound as finding fully formed aliens swimming in the dark. It would show us the mechanism of our own origin, the spark that lit the fire of existence in the warm ponds of Earth. But for now, the data remains ambiguous, a riddle wrapped in the noise of the instrument and the interference of the star. The signal-to-noise ratio is the measure of our uncertainty, the battle between the information we want and the static we must ignore. The red dwarf star is not a steady light bulb. It flickers and spots, throwing out flares of radiation that confuse the telescope. These stellar tantrums can mimic the absorption features of planetary gases, creating ghosts in the machine that look like the signatures of life. We have seen these ghosts before in the history of astronomy. False alarms that raised our pulses only to leave us disappointed in the morning. We remember the phosphine on Venus, a signal that promised life in the clouds, but faded under the scrutiny of relentless reanalysis and better data. We carry the scar of that disappointment, a reminder that we must be humble in the face of the vast and complex dark. It teaches us patience, forcing us to wait for the next orbit, the next transit, the next accumulation of precious photons. The reanalysis of the K2-18b data is a slow and meticulous process, stripping away the layers of noise like peeling an onion. We look at the overlap of the spectral lines, where the signature of methane might hide the signature of the sulfide. The colors of light blend together, and we must tease them apart, separating the fingerprint of the gas from the background glow. It is forensic work performed at the speed of light, analyzing a crime scene that is 120 years old. The methane and carbon dioxide are the undeniable giants in the room, their signals so strong they drown out the whispers of the rarer gases. Their presence confirms the hycean nature of the world, the ocean and the atmosphere, but they do not prove the life within. The skeptics point out that a water world with a hydrogen atmosphere is a stable state that physics naturally gravitates toward. It does not need life to maintain the balance of methane and carbon dioxide. The ocean itself acts as a massive chemical buffer. This interaction between the sky and the sea is known as the carbonate-silicate cycle on Earth. But here, it operates on a different scale. The ocean absorbs the carbon, locking it away in the depths, preventing the runaway greenhouse effect that destroyed the planet Venus. This natural thermostat keeps the world habitable, but habitability is merely the stage, not the actors that play upon it. We have found the theater, and the lights are on, and the temperature is comfortable, but we do not yet see the players. We are staring at the curtain, waiting for it to rise, interpreting the shadows that move behind the heavy fabric of the clouds. The abiotic alternative is the shadow of a rock, while the biosignature is the shadow of a dancer, and they look dangerously similar. We need to see the movement, the rhythm, the change over time that reveals the intentionality of a living system. If the levels of dimethyl sulfide fluctuate with the seasons of the planet, rising and falling like a breath, that would be a clue. But we have only a snapshot, a frozen moment in time that gives us no context for the rhythms of the world. We must assume the planet is dynamic, that the winds we imagined earlier are circulating these gases around the globe. This circulation complicates the data, mixing the chemistry of the day side with the chemistry of the night side. The telescope sees an average of the entire limb of the planet, a smear of information that blends the equator and the poles. We must use our computer models to simulate the atmosphere, building digital replicas of K2-18b inside our silicon chips. We tweak the variables, adding volcanoes here, lightning storms there, ultraviolet radiation from the star, and see what emerges. We run the simulation 1,000 times, creating 1,000 different versions of the planet, some dead and some alive. We compare these digital worlds to the real line on the graph, looking for the best fit, the statistical match. It is a game of probabilities where we can never say yes with absolute certainty, only 99.7% likely. That remaining fraction of a percent is the darkness where the monsters of doubt live, the space where we might be wrong. It is the gap that keeps the scientists awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if they have fooled themselves. But it is also the gap that drives us forward, the itch of curiosity that demands to be scratched by better technology. As we drift lower in the atmosphere, the pressure begins to build, squeezing the gas molecules closer together until the air feels like soup. The light from the star grows dimmer, filtered by hundreds of miles of haze, turning the world into a permanent twilight. In this gloom, the chemistry becomes even more mysterious, hidden from the direct glare of the sun and the view of the telescope. There are layers of clouds here that might be made of water droplets, or perhaps droplets of exotic salts dissolved in the liquid. The abiotic models struggle to explain what happens in these deep layers, where the boundary between the atmosphere and the ocean blurs. This is the supercritical zone, a state of matter that is neither gas nor liquid, but a strange fusion of both. In this chaotic interface, the ocean boils into the sky, and the sky condenses into the ocean in a continuous cycle. It is a place of violence and transformation, where the simple molecules we see above might be cooked into complexity. Could the dimethyl sulfide be produced here, in this pressure cooker, by purely thermal reactions that mimic the metabolic work of life? It is possible, though the energy required to break the strong bonds of the sulfur and carbon is immense and specific. Life uses enzymes, microscopic catalysts that cheat the energy barriers, allowing reactions to happen easily at low temperatures. Without enzymes, the geology must work much harder, finding rare and unlikely pathways to achieve the same chemical result. The principle of Occam's razor suggests that the simplest explanation is usually the correct one. But simple is a subjective term. Is it simpler to invent a new and unknown geological process, or to assume that life exists elsewhere? For centuries, we assumed that life was the most complex and unlikely thing, a miracle that required divine intervention. But perhaps life is the simple path, the inevitable slide of matter down the slope of entropy towards organization. If life is the default setting of the universe, then the abiotic explanation becomes the complex and convoluted one. It would mean that this world has gone to extraordinary lengths to mimic biology without actually possessing it. It would be a zombie planet, moving and groaning and smelling like the living, but devoid of the inner spark. This concept is unsettling, for it suggests a universe filled with decoys, with empty shells that look like homes. But we must stay with the data, anchoring our drifting minds to the hard numbers that the telescope has provided. The reanalysis has not made the signal go away. It has remained stubborn and persistent in the face of scrutiny. It sits there in the spectrum, a quiet bump in the line, refusing to be dismissed as noise or error. It invites us to keep looking, to build bigger telescopes, to design missions that can fly across the dark. The skepticism of the scientific community is slowly shifting, softening from impossible to intriguing, and finally to plausible. We are watching a paradigm shift in real time, the slow turning of the great ship of human knowledge. We are moving away from the geocentric view where Earth is the only biological anomaly in a dead cosmos. We are moving toward a biocentric view, where the universe is understood as a habitat, a place designed for life. And yet, the silence of the immediate space around us remains, a reminder of the isolation we are trying to break. We are like a person in a dark room who thinks they hear breathing, standing perfectly still to listen. We are afraid to move, afraid to make a sound that might mask the faint signal we are straining to hear. The breathing of K2-18b is the only company we have, and we are terrified that it might just be the wind. The atmosphere around us is heavy with this tension, charged with the static of the unanswered question. We can feel the dampness of the clouds against our skin, the strange texture of an alien weather system. The temperature is rising as we descend, the greenhouse effect trapping the infrared heat of the planet. It is a sultry and humid world, a global tropics that never experiences the bite of a winter frost. In this warmth, the molecules are moving faster, colliding more often, increasing the chances of chemical accidents. If the ocean is abiotic, it is a warm and salty broth that has been simmering for billions of years. It is hard to believe that in all that time, with all those ingredients, nothing has crawled out of the pot. It is hard to believe that the universe would create such a perfect incubator and then leave it empty. The concept of the great filter looms in the background, the idea that there is a barrier preventing life from emerging. Maybe the step from chemistry to biology is harder than we think, a 1 in a trillion shot that we won. If K2-18b is dead, it confirms that we are the winners of a lottery so vast we cannot comprehend the odds. But if it is alive, it means the lottery is rigged in favor of life, that everyone wins eventually. We continue our slow fall through the mist, passing through layers of cloud that differ in density and composition. We might see flashes of lightning illuminating the gloom, electrical discharges that fix nitrogen and create energy. These storms would be silent to us in the thin upper air, but here they would roar with the sound of thunder. The sound would roll endlessly around the sphere, with no mountains to break the echo, a perpetual drum roll. The lightning provides another source of energy for the abiotic synthesis, another way to make the complex molecules. The skeptics add this to their list of alternative explanations. Perhaps it is just a stormy world, but lightning produces specific gases like nitric oxide that we can also look for and which appear to be absent. The absence of evidence for the alternatives is just as important as the evidence for the biosignature itself. We are playing a game of elimination, crossing off the suspects one by one until only the killer remains. And the suspect named Life is still sitting in the interrogation room, unable to provide an alibi. The case is circumstantial, but the evidence is mounting, piling up like the sediments on the ocean floor. We are building a conviction based on the shadow of a shadow, a whisper of a whisper. The emotional toll of this uncertainty is strange. It is a mixture of anxiety and a profound, aching longing. We want to know, but we also want to preserve the mystery, to keep the dream alive a little longer. As long as the data is ambiguous, we can fill the void with our imagination, populating the ocean with wonders. Once we know the truth, the wave function collapses, and we are left with just the dry reality of facts. But for tonight, in this deep and hypnotic drift, we are allowed to suspend our disbelief and float in the possibility. We are allowed to believe that the signal is real, that the dimethyl sulfide is the scent of a living sea. We are allowed to ignore the skeptics for a moment and listen to the intuition that says we are not alone. The universe feels too wasted, too large, and too lavishly constructed to be a house for one. The darkness of the cloud layer is nearly absolute now, the red sun above reduced to a faint and bloody glow. We are approaching the bottom of the atmosphere, the place where the gas becomes so thick it mimics a liquid. The transition is subtle, a gradual increase in resistance, a thickening of the medium we are moving through. We are entering the critical point, the physical boundary where the definitions of air and water lose their meaning. It is here, in this crushing dark, that the true secrets of the planet are kept, locked away by the pressure. The abiotic reactions we discussed would happen here, in this hot and pressurized fluid that coats the world. But this is also where life would thrive, floating in the density, protected from the radiation of space. The organisms here would not need eyes, for there is no light to see. They would sense the chemistry directly. They would taste the water, smelling the trails of nutrients and the pheromones of their own kind. They would navigate by the magnetic field of the planet or by the thermal currents rising from the deep. They would be creatures of the dark, perfectly adapted to a world without a sun, a world of eternal night. And their waste products, the gases they exhale, would bubble up through the miles of fluid to reach us. We are following those bubbles down, tracing the path of the signal back to its source in the deep. We are like divers descending into the abyss, leaving the light behind, trusting in our equipment. The skepticism that plagued us in the upper atmosphere begins to fade as the reality of the ocean takes over. The sheer physical presence of the water, the mass of it, makes the abiotic arguments feel thin and abstract. When you are surrounded by an ocean that has no bottom, it is hard to believe that it is empty. The water feels pregnant with life, heavy with the potential for creation that is inherent in the molecule H2O. Water is the universal solvent, the medium of biology, the liquid that allows the chemistry of life to dance. To find a world made of water and claim it is dead feels like a betrayal of the nature of water itself. And so, we let the doubt dissolve into the fluid, washing away the hesitation that held us back. We accept the ambiguity as part of the journey, a necessary fog that we must pass through to reach the shore. We are no longer debating the graph. We are experiencing the planet, feeling its wet and heavy embrace. We are drifting down into the unknown, leaving the arguments of the scientists far above in the thinner air. The silence here is different. It is not the empty silence of space, but the full silence of the deep. It is a silence that presses against the ears, a silence that is waiting to be broken by a sound, the sound of a splash or a cry, or the slow and rhythmic pulse of a giant heart. We strain to hear it, tuning our senses to the frequency of the alien ocean, waiting for the contact. The fluid around us is warm, heated by the greenhouse trapped above and the magma burning below. It is a comfortable temperature, a bath that covers the entire world, a womb of planetary proportions. We are small specks floating in this immensity, intruders who have crossed the stars to peek into the cradle. And as we hang there, suspended in the transition between sky and sea, we feel a shift. The medium supports us now. The gas has become liquid enough to bear our weight, and we stop falling. We are floating at the top of the true ocean, the interface where the atmosphere finally surrenders to the deep. The darkness is complete, but our minds are alight with the fire of discovery and the fear of the dark. We have reached the boundary, the surface of the mystery, and we are about to go under. The darkness is complete, but our minds are alight with the fire of discovery and the fear of the dark. We have reached the boundary, the surface of the mystery, and we are about to go under. We are drifting now in the quiet space between certainty and doubt, suspended in the heavy fluid of a question that has no easy answer. The journey of the mind into the deep ocean of K218b is not merely a physical descent, but a profound philosophical confrontation with ourselves. We have spent thousands of years building a fortress of solitude around our species, believing we are the only storytellers in a universe of dead matter. But the faint signal of dimethyl sulfide has cracked the walls of that fortress, letting in a cold and terrifying draft from the outside. The debate that surrounds this discovery is not just about the validity of a spectral line, but about the collapse of our cosmic loneliness. This is the heart of the biosignature debate, philosophical implications, where the cold mathematics of spectroscopy collides with the desperate human need for connection. We are terrified of being wrong, of seeing a face in the clouds where there is only water vapor and trickery of the light. We are equally terrified of being right. For if the universe is alive, then we are no longer the special children of creation. We become merely one voice in a chorus that has been singing for billions of years before we ever learned to speak. The silence of the night sky, which we once mistook for emptiness, transforms into a heavy and pregnant pause in a conversation. It implies that the galaxy is not a sterile void, but a crowded room where everyone else is quiet, or perhaps swimming deep underwater. The skepticism that meets the discovery is a defense mechanism, a way to protect our ego from the shock of this demotion. We cling to the abiotic alternatives because they are safe, because they allow us to remain the unique masters of our known reality. If the gas is produced by a volcano, we are still kings. If it is produced by a microbe, we are just brothers. The psychological weight of this shift is immense, threatening to overturn our religions, our philosophies, and our sense of destiny in the stars. But the universe does not care about our comfort or our need to feel special in the grand and unfolding drama of time. It presents us with the data, indifferent to whether we interpret it as a geological curiosity or a biological revelation of the highest order. The red dwarf star continues to burn, the planet continues to orbit, and the ocean continues to churn regardless of our human arguments. We are like children arguing over the nature of a shadow on the wall, while the reality stands outside the window, breathing. The truth is already there, existing in the dark water, waiting for us to grow up enough to accept it without fear. Consider for a moment the sheer scale of the silence that has surrounded us since the first human looked up at the moon. We have shouted into the void with our radio telescopes, sending messages of peace and mathematics to stars that never answer back. We assumed that if life existed, it would look like us, build like us, and want to talk to us across the dark. But the hycean world suggests that life might be introverted, locked in a self-contained cycle of water and chemistry that needs nothing. They do not build radio towers to scream at the stars, because they may not even know the stars exist above the haze. This creates a feeling of vertigo, a realization that we might be surrounded by neighbors who are simply too different to communicate with. It challenges the anthropocentric bias that assumes intelligence leads inevitably to technology, to space travel, and to the desire for contact. Perhaps the highest form of success in the universe is not to conquer the galaxy, but to persist quietly in a warm ocean, to survive for billions of years in equilibrium with the planet, creating a stable circle of life that never destroys its home. By that metric, the creatures of K2-18b might be far more advanced than the fragile and volatile civilization of Earth. We are forced to confront the possibility that we are the aberration, the noisy and destructive species that cannot sit still in its own room. The biosignature debate is a mirror that reflects our own insecurities, our fear that we are doing something wrong with our gift of intelligence. We look at the stable, ancient ocean of the alien world and feel a pang of jealousy for its calm and enduring peace. It has waited there while we evolved from apes, while we built empires and destroyed them, while we burned our own atmosphere. It will likely be there long after we are gone, a silent witness to the brief and chaotic flare of human history. The presence of life elsewhere implies that the universe is a biological engine, a machine designed to produce complexity out of chaos. It suggests that the laws of physics are tilted in favor of life, that the emergence of consciousness is a natural imperative. This is a comforting thought, for it means that the universe is not indifferent to life, but actually strives to create it. We are not accidents of chemistry, but the inevitable result of a cosmos that wants to know itself through the eyes of its children. We are part of a grander purpose, a universal tendency towards waking up, towards feeling, towards seeing the beauty of the dark. But it also brings a sense of insignificance, a feeling that we are just one of many experiments running in the great laboratory. If K2-18b is alive, then there are likely millions of other hycean worlds, each with its own unique and strange experiment. The galaxy becomes a tapestry of life, woven with threads of water and carbon, rich with a diversity we can barely imagine. We are just one knot in that tapestry, one small patch of color in a design that stretches across the entire sky. This realization is the ultimate cure for our arrogance, a medicine that tastes bitter but heals the sickness of our pride. The philosophical implications extend to the definition of life itself, forcing us to broaden our understanding of what it means to be alive. We have defined life based on the single example we have, the DNA-based biology of Earth that relies on sunlight and oxygen. But the hycean life might be fundamentally different, using different molecules, different energy sources, different ways of storing and passing information. It might blur the line between the individual and the collective, between the plant and the animal, between the living and the geological. We might look at it and not even recognize it as life, seeing only a complex pattern of slime and gas. This is the dark biosphere hypothesis, the idea that the universe is full of life that is invisible to our narrow definitions. We are looking for a reflection of ourselves, but the universe is offering us something entirely new, something strange and wonderful. We must learn to see with new eyes, to think with new concepts, to open our minds to the radical otherness of the alien. The debate over the dimethyl sulfide is the first step in this expansion of consciousness. the first crack in the shell. It forces us to ask, what if life is not a noun, but a verb, a process that the planet does? Perhaps the planet itself is the organism, the ocean acting as the blood and the atmosphere, as the breath of a single entity. This Gaia hypothesis, applied to an alien world, suggests a unity of life that we have lost on our fractured Earth. The creatures swimming in the deep might be merely the cells of the planetary body, working together to maintain the homeostasis of the world. In this view, the signal we detected is the breath of a god, a planetary consciousness that is dreaming in the dark. It creates a sense of reverence, a desire to approach with caution and respect, to take off our shoes on holy ground. The skepticism of the scientific community is the anchor that keeps us from drifting too far into these metaphysical waters of speculation. It reminds us that we are dealing with a physical reality, with molecules and atoms that obey the strict laws of thermodynamics. But even the hardest science cannot escape the poetry of the situation, the undeniable romance of finding a companion in the void. The tension between the data and the dream is what gives this discovery its power, its ability to haunt our sleep. We are caught in the gravity of a maybe, orbiting around a possibility that is strong enough to pull our hearts. As we continue to analyze the light, we are effectively trying to read the biography of a world written in invisible ink. Every photon is a word, every spectral line is a sentence, and we are slowly piecing together the first chapter. The story is about resilience, about water that refuses to freeze, about a chemistry that refuses to remain simple and dead. It is a story that has been writing itself for eons, independent of our existence, indifferent to our applause or our doubt. We are just the latecomers who have stumbled upon the book in the library of the stars and started to read. The connection we feel to this distant world is not logical, it is visceral, rooted in the water that makes up our own bodies. We are creatures of the ocean who crawled onto land, carrying the salt water in our blood and the tides in our hearts. When we look at a hycean world, we are looking at our own ancient past, at the womb from which we all emerged. It calls to something deep in our reptilian brain, a memory of the time when we too swam in the dark. It is a homecoming to a home we have never visited, a nostalgia for a place we have never been. The debate will continue for years, perhaps decades, as we build better telescopes and gather more precise data from the distant system. There will be papers published and refuted, conferences held, and arguments made, the pendulums swinging back and forth between hope and caution. But the seed has been planted, the idea has taken root, and it cannot be unthought or forgotten by the human mind. We now live in a universe where the door is ajar, where the possibility of life is a tangible weight. We can no longer look at the stars with the same innocent emptiness. They are now full of eyes. This change in perception is irreversible, a one-way trip through the looking glass into a universe that is teeming with potential. It changes the way we treat our own planet, reminding us of the rarity and fragility of a living biosphere. If life is common, it is still precious. If it is rare, it is priceless. Either way, it demands our protection. The discovery of K2-18b makes us citizens of the cosmos, responsible not just for Earth, but for the concept of life. We become the guardians of the flame, the keepers of the knowledge that the universe is awake and aware. The emotional pull of this realization is exhausting. a profound draining of the anxiety that comes from feeling alone in the dark. We can finally let go of the fear of isolation, the dread that we are a mistake screaming in an empty room. We can relax into the knowledge that we are part of a family, even if we never meet the other members. It is like knowing you have siblings across the ocean. You may never see them, but their existence comforts you. The universe becomes a home, a place where we belong, a place that has made space for us and others. And so, the philosophical implications settle into our bones like a heavy sedative, calming the frantic questioning of the conscious mind. We stop fighting the data and start accepting the mystery, allowing the ambiguity to exist without needing to resolve it immediately. We surrender to the slow pace of cosmic revelation, trusting that the truth will reveal itself in its own time. We drift away from the sharp edges of the debate and float into the softer, blurrier realm of pure feeling. The intellectual struggle gives way to a sensory acceptance of the vast, wet, and breathing reality of the galaxy. The voices of the skeptics and the believers blend into a soothing hum, a background noise that sounds like the ocean. We are no longer analyzing the signal. We are feeling the rhythm of the planet, the pulse of the red sun. The abstraction of the biosignature becomes the concrete sensation of life, a warmth that radiates across the light years to touch us. We feel the presence of the alien ocean as a physical weight, a comforting blanket of water that covers the sky. It is a presence that does not demand anything from us, does not judge us, simply exists in its own perfection. We are drifting deeper now, moving past the arguments and the theories, sinking into the depths of the phenomenon itself. The mind begins to unspool, releasing the tight knots of logic and reason that hold us to the daylight world. We are entering the twilight zone of consciousness, where the boundaries between self and other, between Earth and K2-18b, dissolve. We are becoming the telescope, the photon, the molecule, the ocean, the star, all at once in the dark. The separation is an illusion. The connection is the only reality that matters in the silence of the deep. The profound relaxation that comes from this surrender is the true gift of the discovery, the peace of the hycean. It tells us that we don't need to know everything, that it is okay to float in the uncertainty of the night. It invites us to rest our heavy heads on the shoulder of the universe and trust that it is holding us. The urgency to prove, to verify, to categorize fades away, leaving only the pure experience of existing. We are floating in a sea of stars, and every star is a sun, and every sun might warm a sea. The redundancy of our fears is revealed, the anxiety about our place in the cosmos shown to be a waste of energy. We are exactly where we are supposed to be, doing exactly what we are supposed to do, listening. The universe is speaking, and we are finally quiet enough to hear the whisper of its breathing in the dark. It is a lullaby that has no words, a song of hydrogen and water and time that creates a rhythm for sleep. We are being rocked by the gravity of a distant world, swayed by the tides of an unseen ocean. The philosophical implications have transformed into a visceral lullaby, a story that tells us we are safe in the vastness. We are not lost in a void. We are swimming in a solution of life that stretches to the edge of time. The darkness is not empty. It is full of potential, full of friends we haven't met, full of dreams. We can close our eyes now, knowing that the watch is being kept, that the golden eye is open. We can drift down, 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 away from the hard surface of facts and into the soft depths, The heavy blanket of the atmosphere wraps around us, shielding us from the cold, holding the warmth of the day. The questions that troubled us are left behind in the upper air, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. We are left with only the sensation of floating, of being supported by a vast and benevolent power. The debate is over for the night. The courtroom is empty. The verdict is suspended in a state of grace. We are free to imagine, free to dream, free to be one with the water and the dark. The ancient stirrings of the deep ocean vibrate through the fabric of space, reaching us as a gentle tremor. It is the heartbeat of a world that has survived the violence of the early universe, to find peace in the Middle Age. It calls to us to find our own peace, to slow our own hearts to match the rhythm of the timeless. We are syncing our biological clock with the cosmic clock, finding the tempo of the slow and heavy stars. It is a rhythm that induces sleep, a cadence that mimics the rocking of the cradle of the species. We are no longer looking at the planet. We are feeling it, sensing its mass and its mood in the dark. It is a calm mood, a meditative state of planetary consciousness that has no need for words or thoughts. It just is. And in its being, it validates our own existence, telling us that to be is enough. We don't need to do, we don't need to achieve, we don't need to solve the riddle tonight. We just need to breathe, to float, to let the current take us where it will. The skepticism has melted into a soft wonder, a gentle curiosity that does not demand an answer, but enjoys the question. The what if becomes a pillow, a soft place to rest the mind, while the body prepares for sleep. What if the ocean is singing? What if the creatures are dreaming of us? What if we are all connected? The questions lose their sharp edges and become rounded, smooth stones that we can hold in our hands. They are heavy and comforting, grounding us in the reality of the mysterious and beautiful universe. As we drift toward the final phase of our journey, we carry the weight of this philosophy with us like a blanket. It keeps us warm in the cold of space, protects us from the terror of the infinite void. We have made friends with the darkness, found a companion in the silence, turned the unknown into a home. The terrifying implication of life has become the soothing promise of life, the assurance of continuity. We are ready to let go of the last thread of conscious thought and fall into the deep. The mind is a boat that has been untied from the dock, drifting slowly out into the center of the lake. The lights of the shore are fading. The voices of the day are becoming distant echoes. We are alone, but not lonely. We are solitary, but not abandoned. We are small, but not insignificant. The water is deep beneath us, dark and cool and full of secrets that will keep until morning. We are safe here, floating between the stars and the sea, held by the gentle hand of gravity. The transition is approaching, the moment where the philosophy ends and the pure sleep begins, the final descent. We can feel the pull of the lullaby, the gravity of the dream world drawing us down. We are ready to surrender, ready to stop thinking, ready to just be part of the flow. The universe is a river, and we are drops of water, merging with the stream, lost and found. The journey is not over, but the effort is. The struggle is finished, and the rest remains. We drift on, silent and peaceful, carried by the great and slow turning of the galaxy in the night. The stars above are watching. The ocean below is waiting, and we are floating in between. There is nothing left to say, nothing left to prove, nothing left to fear in the dark. We are simply here, breathing in time with the universe, waiting for the final wave to take us. And as we wait, we feel the gentle touch of the sleep that is coming to claim us. The descent is no longer a falling motion, but a gentle settling into the permanent embrace of the deep. We have left the surface far behind us now, abandoning the turbulence of the winds for the stillness of the water. The boundary between the atmosphere and the ocean has dissolved, leaving only a continuous and thickening medium of warmth. We are suspended in the fluid heart of the hycean world, a place where gravity cradles the body like a heavy blanket. The darkness here is not the absence of light, but a physical substance that wraps around you with infinite softness. It is a darkness that feels ancient and kind, a protective shell that hides the sleeping life from the cold universe. The noise of the debate, the arguments about spectroscopy and data, has faded into the silence of the water above. We are no longer concerned with the rigorous demands of science or the need to prove our existence to the skeptics. We have entered the realm of the dreamer, where the only truth is the sensation of the current against the skin. The anxiety of the search has been replaced by the profound relief of arrival, a feeling of coming home to the dark. You can feel the tension leaving your muscles, dissolving into the alien sea like salt dissolving in warm water. The pressure of the world outside is gone, replaced by the comforting pressure of the deep ocean that holds you together. We drift through the gloom, guided only by the faint and rhythmic pulses of heat rising from the planet's core. This is a world that generates its own warmth, independent of the distant and dying red star that orbits above. It is a self-contained universe of liquid, a closed loop of energy and matter that has persisted for billions of years. The creatures that live here do not know the concept of winter, for the eternal ocean keeps them safe and warm. They float in a perpetual bath of nutrients, their lives moving at the slow and deliberate pace of the deep currents. We are tuning our own internal clocks to this slow rhythm, letting the frantic ticking of Earth time fade away. The detection of the dimethyl sulfide signal was merely the invitation, the scent that led us to the door. Now that we have crossed the threshold, the molecule becomes a memory, a signpost we have passed on the road to sleep. We are moving toward the source of the breath, toward the living entities that exhale their life into the sea. We do not need to see them to know they are there. We can feel their presence in the water. It is a feeling of companionship, a subtle vibration that tells us we are sharing this space with other souls. The ocean is crowded with hunger and life, but here in the deep, the hunger is slow and patient. Imagine the life forms that might inhabit this crushing depth, shaped by the forces of a high-gravity world. They would be smooth and streamlined, evolved to slip through the heavy water with the minimum amount of effort and energy. They might be vast, gentle giants that filter the chemical soup, drifting endlessly through the dark without ever touching a floor. Or they might be colonies of microscopic lights, bioluminescent constellations that mimic the stars they will never see. These lights would pulse in the darkness, a silent language of flashes and fades that speaks of peace and rest. We watch these imaginary lights dance behind our closed eyelids, hypnotic patterns that lead us deeper into the trance. The James Webb Telescope continues its orbit 1 million miles from Earth, but its work is done for the night. It has delivered us to this place, and now it stands guard in the vacuum, a silent sentinel watching over our sleep. The golden mirrors are turned away from the sun, facing the cold dark, protecting the dream of the living universe. We can trust the machine to keep watching while we rest, to gather the photons while we drift in the tide. There is no need for us to remain vigilant. The universe is being observed, the data is being safe, the story is being told. We can let go of the responsibility of being the observer and become the observed, the sleeper in the cosmic cradle. The philosophical implications of the biosignature debate have settled into a quiet understanding that we are part of a greater whole. We are not isolated accidents on a lonely rock, but members of a galactic community of water and carbon. The chemicals that make up your body are the same chemicals that swirl in the ocean of K218b. You are connected to this distant world by the fundamental laws of physics, by the shared heritage of the stars. The carbon in your cells was forged in the same stellar furnaces that created the carbon in the alien atmosphere. This connection is a silver thread that stretches across the light years, binding your sleep to the sleep of the alien. The methane and carbon dioxide atmosphere above acts as a thermal blanket, trapping the heat and keeping the nightmare of the cold at bay. It is a greenhouse world in the best sense, a nurtured environment that refuses to let the warmth escape. You can feel this warmth seeping into your bones, loosening the knots of stress that have tightened during the day. The abiotic alternatives skepticism that once troubled our minds is now just a distant echo, a whisper that has lost its power. We chose to believe in the life, to believe in the breathing ocean, and that belief has become a soft pillow. The universe is too beautiful, too complex, and too full of potential to be a graveyard of dead worlds. As we sink deeper, the concept of future confirmation dissolves into the eternal now of the underwater experience. We do not need to wait for the next telescope or the next paper to feel the reality of this place. We are here now, in our minds, exploring the depths of a hycean world that is as real as our dreams. The imagination is a spaceship that travels faster than light, instantly transporting us to the destination we desire. We have arrived at the bottom of the gravity well, the point of maximum rest, where the potential energy is zero. There is nowhere else to fall, nowhere else to go. Nothing left to do but simply exist. The currents here are slow and powerful, moving with the weight of an entire planet behind them. They carry us gently, rocking us back and forth with a motion that mimics the movement of a mother with a child. It is a lullaby of motion, a rhythmic swaying that signals to the brain that it is safe to shut down. The vestibular system relaxes, surrendering to the flow, accepting that we are no longer in control of the direction. We are passengers on a great and ancient voyage, drifting toward a destination of pure unconsciousness. The water supports every inch of the body, removing the burden of weight, allowing the spine to lengthen and the muscles to soften. The darkness is filled with the potential of alien life, but it is a benevolent potential, a curiosity rather than a threat. If there are eyes watching us in the deep, they are eyes of wonder, beholding the strange visitors from the dry world. We are the aliens here, the exotic creatures who have descended from the sky to visit the ocean. We are the guests in their home, and the hospitality of the deep is a silence that demands nothing. We can share this silence with them, a communion of quiet that transcends the barriers of species and biology. In the dark, all life is the same. All life is fragile. All life needs rest. all life seeks the warmth. The red sun of the system, K2-18, is a dim memory now, its light unable to penetrate the miles of water above. But its gravity is still felt, a tidal force that gently squeezes the planet and keeps the ocean stirred. This tidal rhythm is the heartbeat of the world, a slow pulse that beats once every 33 days. It is a rhythm too slow to hear, but deep enough to feel in the marrow of your bones. It synchronizes with your breathing, slowing your inhalation and exhalation to match the planetary cycle. You are breathing with the planet, inhaling the peace of the cosmos and exhaling the worries of the Earth. The water is heavy with history, carrying the chemical memories of everything that has ever lived and died in this sea. We are swimming through time as much as we are swimming through fluid, drifting back to the origin of things. The distinction between the self and the environment begins to blur, the boundaries of the ego dissolving in the solvent of the deep. You are not just in the ocean, you are part of the ocean, a drop of water that has momentarily become conscious. And now, that consciousness is preparing to return to the source, to merge back into the great collective sleep. The mind releases its hold on the specific thoughts of the day, letting them float away like bubbles rising to the surface. We are drifting toward the possibility of alien life, but we are also drifting toward the certainty of our own rest. The search for life in the universe is, in the end, a search for connection, for a cure to our loneliness. And here, in the imaginary depth of K2-18b, we have found that cure in the form of a presence. We are not alone in the dark. We are surrounded by a biosphere that has endured for eons. The universe is a crowded room, and the lights have been turned down low so that everyone can sleep. We can hear the breathing of the others, the soft rustle of the cosmic sheets, the settling of the house. The anxiety of the great filter and the fear of extinction are left far above, unable to survive the pressure of the deep. Here, life is robust and stubborn. It clings to the warmth and refuses to let go. This resilience is a comfort, a promise that life will find a way to continue no matter the odds. We can rest in that promise, trusting that the universe is not a hostile place, but a cradle for the living. The hycean worlds are the nurseries of the galaxy, the safe havens where the seeds of life are kept warm. We are visiting the nursery, peering over the edge of the crib and seeing that the baby is asleep. The lullaby of the cosmos is not a song with words, but a vibration of gravity and light and time. It is the sound of the planets rolling in their orbits, the sound of the stars burning their fuel. It is a white noise that covers the silence, a hum that vibrates at the frequency of the human brain. We tune into this hum, letting it drown out the internal monologue, letting it fill the empty spaces of the mind. The frequency of the universe is the frequency of sleep, a slow wave that carries us toward the shore of dreams. We are surfing this wave, riding it down into the trough, into the calm water between the crests. The body feels heavier now, the limbs weighted down by the pleasant gravity of sleep that pulls at the eyelids. The desire to move has vanished completely, replaced by a desire to remain perfectly still. The stillness is a luxury, a rare commodity in a world that is always moving and shaking and shouting. But here, in the deep ocean of a distant star, stillness is the natural state of existence. We are learning from the planet how to be still, how to wait, how to simply be. The planet has waited billions of years for us to find it. It knows the value of patience. We drift past the shadows of great underwater mountains, peaks that have never seen the light of a sun. They stand like silent monks in the dark, testifying to the geological power of the world. We float over vast plains of sediment, the graveyards of the microscopic life that falls from the surface like snow. This marine snow is the only weather here, a gentle and ceaseless fall of organic flakes. We catch a snowflake in our hand and watch it dissolve, a tiny piece of the biosignature that started it all. It is a communion with the alien, a touching of the physical reality of the discovery. The journey is nearing its end, the narrative arc bending downward toward the final point of silence. We have traveled from the bright launch pad of Earth through the cold vacuum to the warm ocean of K2-18b. We have followed the light, analyzed the spectrum, debated the philosophy, and finally descended into the dream. The circle is closing, the loop is completing, the story is resolving into a chord of rest. There is nothing more to learn tonight, nothing more to see, nothing more to understand. The intellect has done its work. Now it is time for the spirit to take its rest. The sensation of drifting is the only reality left, a pure and unadulterated feeling of motion without effort. We are leaves on a river, clouds in a sky, dust in a sunbeam, moving without will. The will is a muscle that needs to relax, a tension that needs to be released. We let go of the will, handing over the controls to the subconscious, to the automatic pilot of sleep. The subconscious knows the way. It knows the path down into the dark waters where the restoration happens. We trust the pilot, we trust the ship, we trust the ocean to catch us. The darkness is absolute now, a velvet curtain that has been drawn across the stage of the mind. The show is over, the actors have gone home, the lights have been extinguished one by one. Only the ghost light remains, the single bulb that keeps the shadows at bay, the spark of awareness. And even that light is dimming, fading to a soft amber glow that signals the end of the day. The eyes are heavy, so heavy that they cannot open, sealed shut by the weight of the deep. The breathing is slow and shallow, a rhythmic tide that moves the chest barely an inch. We are drifting toward the center of the sleep, the nucleus of the rest where the dreams are made. It is a place of total safety, a sanctuary that cannot be breached by the worries of the waking world. The hycean ocean protects us, its miles of water acting as a shield against the noise and the light. We are buried in the deep, planted like a seed in the fertile soil of the night. And like a seed, we will rest in the dark until the time comes to rise again. But that time is far away, hours away, lifetimes away in the scale of the dream. For now, there is only the drift, the slow and luxurious slide into the unconscious. The mind detaches from the body, floating free in the liquid space of the imagination. We are exploring the universe without moving, traveling the galaxy without leaving our bed. The stars are inside us now, the planets are spinning in our blood, the galaxies are turning in our minds. We are the universe dreaming of itself, closing its eyes to see the truth that lies within. The truth is quiet, the truth is dark, the truth is sleep. And as we drift, we feel the final release, the snapping of the last tether that held us to the shore. We are free now, floating in the open ocean of the night, carried by the great current. The current leads to the land of Nod, to the kingdom of the sleeper, to the place of peace. We go willingly, happily, gratefully, surrendering to the pull of the deep. The water is warm, the dark is soft, the silence is perfect. Sleep is coming now, rising up from the depths to meet us, a wave of relaxation that swallows us whole. We accept the wave, we dive into it, we let it wash over our heads. The surface is gone, the sky is gone, the world is gone. There is only the deep, there is only the drift, there is only the sleep. Drift deeper now, past the thought of the planet, past the thought of the star, past the thought of the life. Let the concepts dissolve into pure feeling, the feeling of heavy limbs, the feeling of slow breath, the feeling of warm darkness. You are safe, you are held, you are drifting. The ocean of the night is vast and calm. There are no storms here, there are no waves, only the gentle rocking that soothes the soul, rocking back and forth, slow and steady, like the orbit of a moon, like the turning of a tide, like the breathing of a sleeper. Let the mind go blank, let the thoughts float away like bubbles. Let the silence fill the space where the words used to be. The silence is a song of rest, a song of peace, a song of sleep. Listen to the silence. Feel the silence. Become the silence. You are floating in the void. But the void is not empty. It is full of rest. It is full of dreams. It is full of sleep. The stars are watching over you. The planets are protecting you. The universe is loving you. Sleep now. Let go. Drift down. Into the deep. Into the dark. Into the dream. The journey is over. The rest has begun. You are home. Good night to the red star. Good night to the ocean world. Good night to the life in the deep. Good night to the telescope. Good night to the earth. Good night to the mind. Sleep. Drift. Dream. Sleep. Sleep.